Georgia, that's going to probably be a blue state, but I want to focus on Virginia just for a second. Virginia hasn't voted Republican in a presidential election since 2004, 20 years from now. But right now, there's signs that it may be flipping from blue to red. Why should investors be mindful of this? What could it mean for investors?
If a state like Virginia were to flip, it's a signal of a broader Republican wave. That probably means that Republicans are just running ahead of expectations. It's not going to be that close an election, and probably congressional and Senate seats are going to go along with it, which would give Republicans and a second Trump administration a bigger cushion. So, that's getting into the tax debate of 2025 and 2026 when the Trump tax cuts of 2017 expire. And obviously, the bigger the cushion Republicans have, the more flexibility they have to extend all those expiring provisions and maybe avoid some politically tough choices.
You know, I want to hit on something, Brian. You're saying more of a cushion that the Republicans have. Most of the polls I've seen, it's pretty much a neck-and-neck race, kind of within the margin of error. But it sounds like you think, at this moment at least, that President Trump may have, or former President Trump may have a bit of a lead. If he does, on both sides, what kind of policy shifts could this possibly lead to?
Yeah, so, I mean, there are a couple of things that the Trump campaign is signaling for a second term. One is, as I mentioned, is the tax debate. You have all these provisions that expire within a year. The other is tariffs. Obviously, the president imposed some tariffs back in 2018. He wants to expand tariffs vis-a-vis China. He's also floated a broader, more global tariff regime with other trading partners. Also on trade. In 2026, you have the review of the USMCA, which is the replacement for NAFTA, the trade agreement between Mexico, the U.S., and Canada. So a huge trade debate and tax debate coming up in 2025 and 2026.
What about just the economy right now? Right now, the economy, the sentiment's not great. It's actually doing really well. Unemployment's pretty close to historical lows. How does that play a part? I know, again, we pointed out we're about 140 days away from the election, so we have a ways to go. But the fact that things are going so well right now during primary season and ahead of these different conventions, how does that weigh in all this?
So I hear the narrative that the economy is doing well, and I'm not here to dispute that. But voters have a different view. And the base of the Republican Party, which has become more working class, I think is impacted by the inflation story of the past several years. And while, we can sit here and say, well, inflation is cooling and normalizing, the fact of the matter is that working class voters, which are becoming a bigger part of the Republican Party, have less flexibility in their household economies. They feel the impact of inflation more than the wealthy do. The wealthy have that flexibility, that buffer against inflation. The working class voter does not. And so that working class voter is moving in the direction of the Republican Party. And while we can say, yes, there's still 5 months to go, 4.5 months to go, it's getting late. The fact of the matter is we have two candidates who are very well known to voters. And I'm not so sure that we're going to see a lot of volatility between now and Election Day. Now, as you mentioned, Frank, it's a close race, so small changes matter.
Brian, one other question, we have to go. Virginia and Georgia both have very large military populations or people that did serve. Geopolitical issues, foreign policy, does that matter when it comes to these primary races?
I don't think in the primary races. I think it's a personality contest in primary races. So, yeah, I get your point that that their service to the country matters and is important. But I think when they go into the voting booth, I think it's more pocketbook issues and personalities of the particular candidates.